Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the A3U review.
In this episode, me and Boris are going to take a look at the Fanstoys Scoria.
And me and Nick are going to take a look at the TFC Prometheus Gumball.
We're your hosts. I'm Alex.
I'm Boris.
And you're watching the A3U review.
So here we have the Fanstoys Scoria from the Diebots line, I think. It's Diebots or
Is
D-Bots?
it Diebots or D-Bots?
Whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it.
It's part of the dinosaur line. That's
Yeah.
why I thought it was Diebots. It comes with the sword and the gun. It also comes with an extra head sculpt with a faceplate and 2 extra colored faceplates.
And what it also comes with is this weird backpack cannon, which when we were looking at the instructions, we couldn't figure out how it goes on Scoria.
I just remembered a thread on the forum somewhere that said that it goes on the back of the Grimlock Masterpiece in dinosaur mode. It fits right on the back.
But anyways, this guy looks good. He's got a lot of mass to him, and he's got a very classic dinosaur robot look to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the chroming was done really nicely here. There's some really good paint applications. I do have a couple of things that irk me a little bit. I do feel like the head sculpt kind of feels like it's a little flat.
There's not a whole lot of dimension to it.
Yeah, it would have been kind of nice if it actually had a little bit more fullness to it. Because from the front, it looks really great. And then sometimes when you catch it from some of the profiles, he got his head stepped on a little bit.
As for the figure itself, I really like this guy. The articulation is great. One thing the fans always look for is the ankle swivel, because that allows you to put it in dynamic poses. With this ankle swivel, you can actually really bend this guy's legs and still have the guy's foot still stay flat.
I do have to say that the legs, when you start getting into more of a wide stance, that the weight distribution kind of wears thin a little bit on the legs.
Yeah.
So even with that swivel, you'll find that sometimes it starts sliding out a little bit.
Okay.
And I think it's because of the actual hinges in here. Maybe might not be as tight as they need to be.
Well, it's top heavy, right? There's a lot of mass to it. It can hold itself. You just gotta really take the time to really pose this guy in a certain way.
In terms of scale, it does not scale well with the Masterpiece Grimlock. And when he's standing beside Scoria, just does
Scoria
not
is
do
the
it
new
justice.
leader.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't scale well, it'll still complement your collection quite well just because of the whole color coordination. They all look pretty good in their colors together. Let's get this guy in its dinosaur mode. And the very first thing I can think of is how fat he looks. In the robot mode, he looks very proportional. And then once you turn it into the dinosaur mode, something is off about him. There's some size and proportioning is off. And you know what it is? If you look at it in the side view, it's the head. Look how much smaller the head is compared to the body.
Which is unfortunate because you can't really make the head too much bigger, otherwise in robot mode, it's gonna look ridiculous. I appreciate what they've done though. I mean, they have made this kind of center section all really as compact as
exactly,
This is what you get when you have a very ambitious project like this. I really think they did the best possible job that they could.
Well, let's give this guy a rating. For aesthetic, I give Scoria a 7. The robot mode looks good. The dinosaur mode, a little bit questionable in the proportions, but I do really like the colors.
I rated it at an 8. I really do like the robot mode. The dinosaur mode is a little bit out of proportion, but all in all, paint looks great. I did have a little beef with the head sculpt, but I love that they gave extra faceplates.
For playability, I'm going with the 6. He's got a lot of articulation. His transformation was actually a little bit different from what I expected, so that was actually quite unique in itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7, simply because the transformation, I agree with you. I think it was a little bit unexpected, but there is still a lot that's I did expect.
For innovation, I'm going with a 6. Sometimes you're looking at a third-party figure and automatically think that Okay, this is just a rehash of something we've already seen, but just judging from the way that it was transformed, there was a bit of engineering that goes into it.
For me, innovation is also a 6. I really felt like they put some thought into it. They improved, for example, the leg and the tail. They're definitely, upping their game in terms of ingenuity there.
And my overall score is a 6.3.
And my overall score is a 7. Not too bad.
I would have to say that if you are a fan of dinosaurs and you want something to complement your Grimlock, this is something that's for you.
I agree. You should pick that up. This is the Prometheus Gumball. I don't know where the name comes from, but the actual reference, I'm sure everybody does know. He is part of a combiner. He looks pretty decent in robot mode.
But there's a few things that I noticed personally that kind of deters me away from this figure. Compared to previous TFC figures,
Yep.
I think he is a little underwhelming. Even the posability, he's very limited with his shoulder blade things.
I mean, unfortunately, I kind of can see why that had to happen from an engineering standpoint, but it does really limit his shoulders because all he ends up getting is, a couple of little hinge joints. You start doing anything aggressive and it kind of gets in the way.
Right. The second thing I noticed is that the plastic quality seems to be much higher than the previous TFC combiner. I'm just not a big fan of that polished plastic feel that the Unos had. This one is almost all blasted.
You like the matte
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
to it. For me, I found a few faults, mostly in the feet. If you look at how it's actually held together, it's on a ball joint, which is good. I mean, you get some good swivel out of it, and it's actually very tight in there. But it's this extra little hinge. I could see over time it wearing a little bit, because it's already, at this point, a little bit loose. The fact that it's so loose and springy, it actually makes it not very well weighted. Over time, if you're playing with it, you might want to watch out on the legs there.
Why don't we get him into his alternate mode?
The car itself is actually really well done.
The only issue I see in the car mode is that the panels don't line up as well as, in my opinion, they should.
For this figure, the way that it was put together, I think they cut it in the right places, but unfortunately, aesthetically, it does break up the hood of the car a little bit more. I just want to quickly also show how it forms into its limb, which is obviously the combiner mode. Really just take off the gun on the back and you can see where that peg hole is right now, and that's the foot. And essentially, it just kind of fits on like this. The front does come out a bit because you're gonna see there's kind of a peg there for the actual, I guess that would connect to
The thigh portion.
The thigh portion, which is kind of part of the torso. That's the leg.
Why don't we give it a score?
Yeah, let's do that.
For aesthetics, I'm gonna give Gumball a score of 7.5. I know I said, the robot mode suffers a bit, but I think it makes it up with the alternate mode, as well as, the little touches of, the gun and just the accentuation of the paint.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I did have a few beefs and nitpicking at a few things. The head sculpt wasn't as strong. The arm movement in general, the posability of it kind of hurts its aesthetic. However, pluses are that the plastic and the paint apps are really, really good.
For playability, I'm gonna give this a 5. The transformation is very basic in a way, and I think you just kind of get bored of it really quick.
Playability, I'm gonna give it a 5 as well. If this was an individual robot, it might be a little bit forgettable. However, I am looking forward to the combiner. I think that's gonna definitely add to its playability.
For innovation, I'm gonna give it a lower 4. As, again, a combiner, it's very basic in terms of the leg structure. And again, transformation, very simple. It's easily done.
Innovation for me is also a 5. They definitely missed a couple of really key opportunities, I think. I know we don't have the full combiner, but turning it into foot mode, I think it's very simple. You just peg it in, you open up the top. Not very different than how I felt about Intimidator was the same thing.
So for my overall score, I'm gonna give Gumball a 5.5.
And I'm gonna give it a 5.7. So there you have it. That is TFC's Prometheus Gumball.
And that's our episode for today. We hope you enjoyed it.
Next episode, I'm gonna be at TFCon in Toronto to show you guys the latest in the third-party world.
That's going to be a really exciting episode. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, Ages3 and Up, and also follow us on Twitter at Ages3 and Up. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.